Today we're going to be making honey and soy glazed pork wraps. Only takes about 30 minutes and 15 if you use pre-bought wraps. We've got our 150 grams of flour, 90 ml of milk with 25 ml of oil in. I've just warmed that up in the microwave for 30 seconds, and a pinch of salt. Just going to stir these till they're combined together. Pull it out onto the side and knead it till it's nice and smooth. You want this to be nice and wet, ever so slightly tacky, but it doesn't need to be too dry. You're better adding more flour later. Once it's nice and smooth, you just want to wrap it in some cling film and pop it in the fridge just so that it can cool down a little. Now we're going to slice our salad for this. You could use pretty much anything. I've got some peppers, some tomatoes, some spring onion and some cucumber, but you could add more or less. I'm using romaine lettuce, but you could use gem or iceberg. It's just whatever you want, really. Now that my dough's been in the fridge and it's started to cool, it's not completely cold, but it should be fine. I'm just going to sprinkle it with some flour and split it into 4 roughly even balls. I'm going to roll each one of these out, and I'm going to keep sprinkling them with flour because the dough's nice and wet. I'm going to roll it out until I can just see through it. I'm now going to cook this in a nice hot pan with a couple of tablespoons of oil in. It just wants to be on a medium-high heat. You need that heat to get the bread to sort of puff up and get those air bubbles in. Now it's only taken about 2 minutes, but this is about ready to flip over. Now you can get it more golden and more crispy than this, but the more you cook it, it'll start to become flaky and slightly crumbly. It'll still taste good, but you won't be able to sort of bend it and use it like a wrap. And I'm just going to give this another 2 minutes on the other side and take it out of the pan. Once all your wraps are cooked, you want to get your glaze ready for your pork. So I've got 50 grams of honey and 50 grams of soy sauce. I'm just going to set that to one side. We're then going to get our pork straight in the same pan. I'm not going to add any extra fat because there's plenty of fat on these pork steaks anyway. So once they've been sealed on one side for 5 minutes on a medium-high heat, I'm just going to turn them over. And you want to make sure they've got a really nice colour on because that's a lot of flavour there. Once they've had 5 minutes on the other side again, you can drizzle over some of that honey and soy. Just make sure to mix it together. So once they've been simmering away for a couple of minutes, you'll want to flip them over to make sure that both sides get a really nice even glaze on them. Once these have had the extra 2 minutes, the sauce should look really nice and glossy and thick. If not, you can just keep reducing it down. Once it does look like that, you just want to turn the pan off and let it sit. Let it cool slightly before you try and slice it, because the sugar from the honey will get really hot. Now that these have cooled somewhat, I'm going to take them off. I'm going to slice them nice and thinly, pop them on a plate and pour all the juices out of the pan back over the top. And that's pretty much it. You could glaze this pork in loads of different ways. You could use honey with a little bit of lemon or sweet chili sauce. You could even use a tomato salsa and put some sour cream drizzled over it inside as well.